Most of my trip reports teach you what not to do, but in this one, I was actually responsible and did all the right things. Yeah, nah, let's look at it from the inside. So I took 150 micrograms and just started meditating in silence since I hadn't really tripped in a while, and this was the trip I really needed to look on my life from another angle. As the come up reached its later stages, it was honestly a little overwhelming with the meditation and everything, so I decided to full on dance like a bird in mating season to help with some of the come up anxiety. But in the back of my mind, a little part of me was like, you should be meditating right now, you're only dancing to avoid what meditating might show you, etc. And it's funny that when tripping, you know come up anxiety is a thing and you know you're having it, but these types of well-disguised thoughts are some of the ones that trick you into thinking they're not come up anxiety. Of course it's an option to go back to meditating, but in my experience we gotta be holistic about it. If I go meditate with all this come up anxiety, there's more risk I won't go into my trip with a positive headspace, aka sat, and I won't have the courage to explore some of the deeper realms. Also, we have I don't know, over 8 hours to meditate later on, so there's nothing wrong with dancing for a bit until the peak, even if you want one of those huge growth kind of trips. But since I still had come up anxiety, instead of thinking, oh yeah, 8 hours, I came up with some justification for why things aren't already okay. Which at the time was, if I don't meditate right now, I'll be less likely to meditate later and this whole trip will be a waste. And then what about my future trips? Am I not going to run into the same problem? And then what even is reality? Oh my. Eventually, I get the courage to lie down and close my eyes whilst peeking, and things start to get really nice. I realized all my anxieties were kind of dumb. And if anything, meditating is even more blissful than dancing because I'm going deeper into the ego death. After about half an hour of meditating, I wanted to go deeper, so I had a bit of weed, put on my Shrooms playlist, and lied back down. 30 minutes later, more weed, lied back down. 30 minutes later, you get the idea. I did this like 5 times with each meditation session going exponentially further until suddenly I let go of this really deep-rooted something because I started enjoying this Shrooms music to an extent I have never felt in my life. Even though I was lying down eyes closed, I couldn't help but really feel the music in my mind, and out of both sides of my vision come like 2 to 5 chubby rainbow snowman looking 4D rave entities who started dancing with my mind to the song. I really can't explain just how much this made the music feel better, but it was like each sound wave hit my brain in the most beautifully perfect way. I felt like a sperm whale losing its virginity like 10 times a second. As we danced, the intensity of the trip started skyrocketing and I was reaching levels of bliss I had never really seen before, even in all my trips. So whilst I could have enjoyed it and accepted these musical entities into my heart, I decided to have a moment of anxiety and question what the hell these things were and did they have good intentions? The second I thought this, they instantly morphed into terrifying versions of themselves with claws and teeth and an early release of the next YouTube rewind. It was very scary, but I was now confused. Why did these seemingly beautiful, fun-loving musical entities turn bad when I questioned their goodness? I opened my eyes straight away and they disappeared, but I still felt their presence close by and I still wanted to rave, but it was like they were kicking me out for being bad vibes because I couldn't really trust them. And yeah, there's always the question of whether you really can trust them, but at the time of this experience, I was super determined to love these entities and see if I could dance with them again, so I decided to close my eyes even though it was a bit scary, and there they were with their evil archetypal features, and it almost felt like they were trying to scare me, testing to see if I could really trust them or be welcomed back, or if I should be banished from seeing their god-tier drug-induced dance moves. Luckily, I was super duper mega giga determined and focused, so I just surrendered to the experience and observed them, and very quickly it seemed like they recognized I was okay and that I was not going to judge them, and suddenly everything in my being got refilled with that insane bliss, and we all just danced, and this is where it got even more intense as I let go into God knows how many ego death layers, and I don't remember this part, but eventually I found myself alone again, still tripping balls, but they had gone to Shambhala or something, I don't know. Tripping responsibly like this is what allowed me to have such a deep and insanely positive experience, and I wouldn't have met these crazy entities that I still vividly remember otherwise. It's fair to say I got exactly what I wanted out of this trip and was able to actually make some really positive changes in my life because I did things right, and in my experience you can make this fairly consistent. So to anyone out there who sees the potential that psychedelics have to completely transform your ego and therefore life, I can't see how you can justify not doing everything in your power to have nicer and more productive and efficient trips that actually help you. I spent so long making almost an hour of exclusive videos going through everything you need to know to have trips like this one, and even better, this trip was still pretty early days for me. So if you want to really improve your trips but don't want to spend 100 hours doing research, go get the TripTips psychedelic guide. It's gonna be worth worth the money unless you're literally homeless. It's so weird to me that people spend 50 bucks on buying psychedelics, but then refuse to spend less than 50 bucks on making their trips way more productive and blissful. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the trip report. Thanks for this comment, lad. I really tried to integrate this shit, so let me know what else I can do to make better content. I'm always striving to give you guys that juicy value. You already know where to find more value. It's on the screen, and I'll see you guys in the next one.